So imagine a mass of people, like most of the people on the planet. They're kind of following, you have the trendsetters of that level of frequency, right? But they still don't know some key components, and they're all kind of going off the path of what works, using their life experience, but also listening to others and seeing, trying to see how other people are doing it. And then you get a good method here and there, and the good methods are all strewn about, and the groups go their own ways and follow their own things, and it doesn't work for everybody. But you got the people up the top, and then maybe you got the people who have the real passion and desire that lets them fucking spearhead through all that shit, but they still are running off of an outdated belief system, or a belief system that everyone's using unknowingly or knowingly. But it is outdated. So they spearhead that passion, desire person, spearhead to the top, but then they settle right at the top of that spear of understanding. And if they can maintain it, they'll stay there, right? But that's still all of a certain kind of unawareness, or it's a rigidness. It's like slowly paving your way brick by brick. Slowly. It's like having a mass of people on this sidewalk, right? And they all want to walk forward, but there's an endless void for it. And you got one person who knows how to pave. And he's like, go one brick at a time. Like, God damn it, guys, you're going to push me off the edge. Come on, one brick at a time, one brick. And maybe, like, the people at the front of that are the ones with the passion and desire that spearheaded to the front, but they had nowhere else to go because they're still running off the old belief system. That's keeping them there at the front, just wanting to go. But the guy in the neck, hold on, bitches. And then everyone else who all are just trying to figure it out, all massive throng behind them. But then you have the people who break out of that, jump onto another sidewalk that's kind of already paved, right? And those are the people who they find a different way to focus, or they figured out something about their beliefs, so they're not using that same template. But since we have this shared reality, it doesn't seem that way. It just seems like someone's cheating or something. So they jump to the head of the line way past the head on. They're on a different path now, and they're not slowed down by limiting beliefs. Um, they're out of that sphere. They don't just settle at the top. They burst through and keep going, leaving everyone else at that game to slowly progress and do it the way they're doing it. The masses, real life reality, which is needed. And then the few that break that because they figured out how to create their own reality instead of kind of playing in old news. Almost how, like, we're playing here on the ruins of old civilizations, where an aware eye couldn't see, and people are seeing. Almost like that. We're playing in old news. But one person who figures out that they create their own reality, really figures it out, it kind of forces everyone else in the masses, and everyone else generally, but definitely everyone else in the masses, now they're pretty much living inside that person's reality. If that person's reality is all encompassing enough, if his knowing and his belief systems that he is or she is entertaining is encompassing enough, everyone else lives in that reality. And you can see how that can be a leverage. How one person who's connected to their own amended, perfect, made for them reality, one who's connected to that is more powerful than millions who are not. Because all the ones who's not connected to their own realities, they're forced to live in that other person's reality. In his reality, he's the king, or he's the this, or she's the that, or he has this, or she's a marine biologist, or he's Michael Jackson, or he's whatever. In his reality. Now, keep in mind, let's hold that if we can. People will get to what other people view as high standards in reality and not know about any of this. So they're still in that bubble realm, closer to the top of the dense reality, the unaware reality, right? But people in the masses will look at these people like that have the life, right? But you don't know how they got there. You don't know how they're keeping it. You don't know if it's easy or if they're going crazy showing this life off to be the way it is. You don't really know, right? People are looking at that and say, oh, I want this, I want that. That's the way I want to live. But they're looking at all the people who have not figured out really what's going on. They're still living in that one realm. They're still on the sidewalk, the slow sidewalk, right? But the people who do figure out they create their own reality just seem to always win. They seem to always come out on top no matter what happens, what scandals get thrown at them. They're always still there because they have a different belief system. They're doing it from they're preing it from the inside. So you can't get at them from too long with the outside stuff. And what doesn't stick? It doesn't stick. They're playing a different game. They're not in that same bubble. They're not on that sidewalk. It just seems that way because part of this game is we have this shared reality. So part of that is learning discernment on that. But also your experience will also, depending on your belief system, it also will, because it always does that anyway, but, everyone's on their island with similar people like them. Okay? So if you're a thief, a liar, a cheat, a manipulator, a this or that, and maybe you don't even know you are. Like some people, maybe they really know they're doing it on purpose. And some people just have a personality they haven't figured out. They're not aware of the shit they're doing yet. I know it's weird, right? Either way, say you're one or the other, you're on an island with people like you. Close to it enough. That's what's going on here. But the person who has expanded his consciousness can envelope everyone's reality, right? Because, say you're a saint or something. I hate to use that word. You're not just going to be on an island with other saints. You're going to be on an island with everybody because you can encompass everyone. Because someone who has become enlightened has already lived through it all, has been this kind of person, that kind of person. I did it this way, I did it that way. They understand, they have compassion for it all. They don't lock anything out, they don't push anything away. So their island encompasses more of everybody, right? But for the most people, the dense dancers, if you're this and that, you're this and that and that, you're on islands with this, that, and that. You're around people that kind of are acting the same way. But it's not so cut and dry because belief systems are so varied. Belief systems are like a fingerprint, right? Everyone's is different, but even more so because it's like a quantum, ever-changing whirlpool fingerprint. Because it could be always changing into the same thing, but most of the time, everyone's belief system is so intricate. You just can't say, well, if you're a bad person, you're going to be with other bad people, right? Because no one's just a bad person, Everyone is so intricate. If you went into their life, to why they act the way they do, and if you want to really go into their past lives, blah, 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 blah. But really, just take a life because it's an encompassing fractal thing of all the lives anyway. Just take the life you're living. Everyone is so intricate. You just can't say, oh, okay, all the good people are on islands, good people, But it's the generality of it. It's how it works. So take whatever your belief structure is, or however you act and believe, truly to your core, even if you haven't figured it out yet. Because you could be a certain person who acts a certain way, maybe you're ashamed of. Maybe you're this or that, and it'll put anything in there that you might be ashamed of, but you really are that at this moment in time. Right? Maybe it'll change 10 years from now, and you'll realize that was just a step on the path to who you're becoming. But in the moment, you're this or that. Maybe you don't like that. That you are, I'm just going to say this or that. So I'm trying not to be too pinpointed. And it's okay. It's okay. I used to be a this or that. Right? It's okay. We all rise up eventually. And you're around people who are like you, so if you're a kind of person who maybe is a person that, whatever, is a bad person, just for explaining, then you're on an island of other bad people. But you know it's not just bad people. You might be bad on a Sunday, and you know what I mean? Or it's not just that. You're also a person who needs to know, needs certain questions answered. Who wants to learn something out of this life experience, right? So you're on an island also of those people. Those also put you on the island. People want to learn the same stuff, or the people who have the answers you want to know will also be on the island. So it's not just the badness of it, right? But the people who generally on the island will be like you, manipulative, this or that. So you're generally a good people. The people generally will be good. Everyone is they're all around the frequency of people, and it flashes and changes instantly. You don't even know it. You don't even know it. You're having a bad day where you feel like you hate the world. People around you could be feeling similar. That day, that second, that instant change. But no one knows what's going on like this, because the whirlpool's always changing and kind of the same thing over and over again. Always changing, but we want to have this certain look to our change so we can have this experience. So I guess what I was just saying is, what I wanted to start off is just breaking the mold, really changing your beliefs, really changing your mind is so deeply important. Changing your mind. Breaking out, getting off that sidewalk where they're only moving one brick at a time. And everyone's watching, see how they're doing the brick. Everyone's behind them. Big throng of people, the mass populace of the earth, looking over the shoulder, and everyone's, okay, how's he doing that? How's he laying that brick? What is he doing? There's a couple of people at the front that can see, but all they can do is waste the brick. Well, he's doing this and this. The next person will be doing this and this and this and this. By the time it gets back to the 14th billionth person, he's flying rainbows and shit and butterflies, and that's how they're doing it. So that's good. So back there, at the end, that's how they're living. Shit and butterflies and whatever, and then that's how they're doing it. They just say that's how we're gonna get a brick to make our own brick, so we can branch off somewhere else. Just shit those butterflies, and fucking fuck those rainbows. That's how they're doing it. But maybe somewhere in the middle of the pack, where the word hasn't gotten so deleted yet, he has some kind of tool. He has some kind of tool and some kind of substance. So they're all just fucking looking for tools and substances. Everyone's going off in that reality. That's the way they're doing it. No one knows. And then, but a little further down the line, no, he has this fucking brick and he's got this shit. We don't know how he's got it, but he just lays it down, it dries up, and then they know how to do it up the front. Right? So their reality is different. And your reality keeps begetting your own reality. So they keep, how the space is expanding. Like, it's not that the stars are just shooting away from us. Space between them is expanding. Imagine the wall in front of you all of a sudden getting further away. That's what's happening. Alright? So, fuck, I was going to link that into what I was talking about. About this. What were we talking about? Breaking free. Okay, so the people at the front of the sidewalk, of the dense, people still forgetting who they are, masses, sidewalk, watching the bricklayer making progress. They see what's happening, right? So they kind of know what's happening. Maybe some of them are even starting their own lanes up at the front. But that's the front. The space between the people at the front and the people all at the back is expanding. They're getting further away. Their reality is different and changing in different directions. Not going the same place the tail of the beast is going. They're getting further away. So you understand how you can get really sunk into these realities and not know it. So far that you can't even see or help anymore. But don't be fretful, because underneath it all, we're all connected. And we don't lose it. No one gets lost. But in this game that we're playing, you can get sunken. The reality so far. I love that analogy. So the people at the very front, they can see what's happening. But as they pass the information back, and you can look at that as an analogy to the information being passed through the centuries, like the people building these crazy, unbuildable stone structures that knew they would last so many years into the future, and that the people whoever advanced that were on this planet would see these things. Eventually, would see that, no, these things are like, how did they build these things? And it would spark interest and open up thought. And it's the same kind of thing, though. They're just trying to pass the word back, and it gets diluted. So we're at the tail end, at the end of the sidewalk, way behind all these massive people. The word finally passes back to us, and it's like, well, the pyramids are tombs for like pharaohs, and it's just survival of the fittest out here. I'm sure funny. But we're moving away. The space between us is expanding from different lives. And then maybe the people in the middle of the sidewalk that kind of have it right. They're living in their own reality, still expanding away. Space between each one still expanding away, becoming their own. Like eventually, Bashar says, you're going to be the only train in your station. Eventually, all other trains veer from you. You could have 500,000 trains. Say you live in a city of 500,000 people, all riding up next to your train. They're all going in the same direction for the indefinite future. People look at the tracks. I don't see them turning anytime soon. We're together, boys. You must have the same beliefs, the same thoughts. We're good. Then you got the people in your train. They're really in the same reality as you. They're on your train on the same tracks, right? Then you got the people in your booth. In your booth, 4 or 3 other people. Your friends or whatever. Your realities are up cheek to cheek. Almost the same reality. Almost. Then you got you. That's the only reality that actually is for you. While you're just interpreting the energies of the other reality. Almost like, I heard this the other day and I loved it. You're on a Zoom call or any kind of internet call. You know that the person you're seeing on the screen is not the person. It's just energy, lights, frequencies, radio waves. It's not actually, it's a representation. If your best representation of them, you know that it's a good representation, so you can trust it, because it's a video of them. You know what I mean? But it's not them. And that's how reality is for every person, every animal, everything you're interacting with. It's their own reality. It's not, you are not actually with the other people. You're in a Zoom call. But you can trust it to be how they would be in their reality, because they are having their own reality and they're having their representation of you. And you know how the video call works, and you know that they're talking to you real time, and you can trust it. But it's not them. You can't touch that screen and get all up in them. It's just a fucking phone, right? That's everyone in your reality. Everyone in your reality. Masterfully done by us. All right? Eventually, though, the trains start to veer from the tracks. People's belief systems are different. They have different life experiences. On top of that, they have different things they want to experience out of this. So they're going to veer off and go off their own track with their own people. Maybe 10 trains go off one way. 100 trains go off this way. Maybe there's some trains that are still with us, but they're going apart just so slightly. People don't even know they're going apart for 1,000 years. Like, wait a second. Seems like we're like a millimeter. Are we moving? In another 5 trillion years, we're not going to be able to see these people anymore, or whatever. You eventually get to you're always in your own reality, though. This just matches you to the people that you are interpreting that they're going to be in your reality. You know what I mean? But it's always just you. Just you and your experience. Just you and your shifting colors and shapes and emotions. It's all, and your interpretations and your meanings. That's all it is. So if you break free and you learn that your thoughts create your reality, and you really learn it, you don't still, because there's the mass of people that think anytime there's a new thing that happens, there's always a fad, and there's people that don't really get it but think they get it and form a big group of people, and then it becomes a fad, and then people fucking hoard items and try to sell it for lots of money, all that kind of stuff, but there's always the people that really get it, that really know they create their own reality, and you'll know because they'll have super awesome talents, or they'll just always be in the right place at the right time, or they'll be like a celebrity, but not like a celebrity, like a, should be a better word for that. But it'll just be someone who is just up there, and you're like, how are they doing it? And they'll have the proof in the pudding just by their life, and they won't be behind the scenes running crazy trying to like, prop up this fake life for everyone to see, because that's happening, and it happens all the time. People who have discernment can follow behind these people, but not know what's going on behind the scenes. But when you really align, you're not doing that behind the scenes. You're not trying to prop up this fake life. It is just your life, and it's easy, and everything just falls into place because you got your belief systems out. You're out of that morass. You're out of the fucking sidewalk. You jumped off that shit, and you realize that there's no sidewalk, or you realize once you jumped, you landed on your own sidewalk every time anyway. But once you jumped and you landed on your own sidewalk, you can't tell the other people anymore. Maybe you can tell the people at the very front, but still has the same problem as trickling down to the end, right? Once you break free, now they're all off to their own devices. You're like, fuck, look at them over there on that fucking thing. Well, all I can do, I can sit here and kind of watch them, or I can go on my merry way. Taking this analogy further, and the people with the desire, you can spearhead through the front of the line, because desire can even overcome beliefs. Just pure fucking raw, just something you want so bad. You don't even, you'll find out 20 years down the line that it wasn't what you wanted, but right now, in your ignorance, you want it so bad. That desire, you have to be careful what you wish for, you'll get it. That desire can break your head to the front of that brick-laying line. So how does that work? You get up there, but you're still in the same world. You haven't changed your belief system. So you get up there, it's just like I said, you just sit at the top. You gotta then watch the guy laying the bricks, or figure out how to lay your own bricks. You can't teach the masses behind you, because with each person that brings the word back, it gets distorted. Caught between, a lot of people I think are caught between wanting to save this world and then knowing that this is just a game and everything's too serious. And every time humans try to fix something, they make it worse. I think Terrence McKenna said, if humans want to try to save this planet, they just need to stop trying to save this planet. They just need to stop everything they're doing. Just let the planet shake itself off, because we keep fucking up her balance. How many times have humans figured out like that something that they were doing wasn't really the right thing over history, or some scientists figured out something like, well, this is, how many times? So many times, probably can't even count. So, and how we think we're smart enough? Well, I'm talking about the masses here. I'm just trying to, before I turn off the phone, make sure there's nothing else that's going to come out that I want to talk about while I'm feeling all talky. Yeah, it always just comes down to the same thing. Like, shouldn't even be talking about it, because your own life is giving you the experience to teach you it anyway. But then you come back around and say, well, someone listening to this, me or anyone else, is part of their own life. So it's like, it actually is just happening perfectly. So the more you try to explain it, it kind of just makes you go down a rabbit hole that you don't need to go down. Where you should just stay in the moment, feeling, and kind of relaxing, feeling. Just kind of, focusing on your feeling and watching what goes on. With a kind of joy, the joy of knowing who you are. And I don't just mean, I finally found out, I like pizza and, I don't know, fucking opera or what. That's what I mean. Figuring out who you are, which is the same time at the most grand scales at the same time figuring out what's going on. And it puts a smile on your face, or it'll cause you to laugh. Because it's at the same time almost the cruelest of jokes, but also the funnest of games, and the best entertainment, of infinite growth and infinite replay value, all wrapped into one. You get all your lessons, all your experience, all the things you want, just to find out you didn't want them, all the things you need, just to find out you don't really need anything. You're just doing it. What else would we be doing? What else would we be doing? On a side note, I've been trying to come to terms with being telepathic. Because it just feels like you're thinking the thoughts. So you don't know. You can be very unaware of this. And being telepathic isn't something that just one person can be. It's something that everyone is. But your belief systems and your awareness and your life experiences and your life experience kind of dictate if that's going to come through or not in that kind of way. And when you're on the transitional liminal phases of this, it's kind of odd. Because you're at the same time realizing that sometimes thoughts pop in and they don't really seem like you quite thought them per se, but also can still be felt that way. Kind of like how you can feel you breathe and also the breathing just happens when you're not even thinking about it. So I'll be in a circumstance, say, in a group of people, and if also being someone who has practiced quieting your mind enough, you have cultivated a state that makes this work better too. It's almost like the same as that if you stay by yourself for a long time and you kind of become accustomed to your cycles and what feelings, not even would take the thoughts out of it, just what feelings you feel all the time, so that when you're out in public and you get this feeling of dread or slight fear, frustration, anger, whatever, you can know most of the time it is not you. If nothing happened to you and you're just kind of spurred on or something, or maybe someone's talking to you in a little bit of a rude way, but all of a sudden you feel crazily mad. Like, well, this is not how I usually feel. So it washes off you like a fucking duck water on a duck's back, right? Same thing with your thoughts. Because I went from feeling, but what were we talking about that before that? Fuck. You, something about the thoughts. It's the same. It's not exactly what I was getting at because I forgot where I was at before I was talking. I switched to feelings, but the thoughts are the same way. That you know the thoughts you usually think. Oh yes, right, telepathicness. Okay, so that feeling thing we just said. Okay, so take it back to something. So I'm sitting in this group of people, right? And I'll have a thought like, think any thought, whatever. And I could take it either way. I could not even think about it and just think that I'm thinking that, and just like, that was weird of me to think. Not even think that though, because you're just thinking you're thinking or whatever. Or I can kind of know, like, hey, that just kind of jumped in there. Like, the energy was a little different about it. It was a little more forceful. I don't know if I thought that. I think someone else thought that, and I picked up on it. Now, when this happens, because it does, it's almost like both of you are thinking the thought at the exact same time. Like there's a thought floating through the air, and you guys both latched onto it. It's like you're not thinking your separate thoughts. The thought was coming down to be received, and you guys both took it. And you thought it. And if you're unaware, you're just thinking that you thought the thought. If you're more aware and you have to start quieting your mind a lot and you have a different belief system, you might catch that it wasn't the same type of thought that you think when you're on your own because you're a hermit. It didn't feel quite the same as those. It kind of felt different. Am I telepathic? Is someone else thinking? Then you look around the room like, who would be thinking this? Then that's interesting to look at because you can't judge a book by its cover. But the thing is, whoever it is on the same frequency as you. There could be lots of reasons why. Lots of reasons why. And you could be on lots of different frequencies, preferred or not, but they're in the same frequency as you. Doesn't mean you're both are angelic beings are on the same frequency. You could reach. No, you could be hateful bitches, but you're on the same fucking bitch ass, hoe ass energy that you're picking up on each other's thoughts. But this frequency level range, they will never know they're reading each other's thoughts. They'll just be thinking their bitch ass thoughts and not knowing that they're thinking the same thoughts, right? Standing right next to each other. They just they'll never know it. But when you're in higher frequencies, you can start to know that, hey, this is one that someone else's. I'm reading someone's mind here, or I'm telepathic, or me and someone, because it's not really reading a mind. Because it feels like you're just having a thought too. There's almost no difference to it, but there is a difference to it, and I know that. My belief system says anything you can get good at, you can get better at infinitely. So I know I can make that difference more evident to me in time, and really be able to tell what's going on in groups around me if the frequency level is around the same. And I think it only works that way. So, and it could be someone, also could be the case that someone's maybe in love with you and they really feel a certain frequency range in and around you in general because they have given their power to you because they think they're in love with you. Like, so when you're around, they feel their full power, but they're labeling it, I'm in love with you, so they're giving your power to you. Now, you could be someone who's always meditated and whatever else, who's always connected to their God, source, universe, energy, which is love, pure unconditional love. So you're vibrating on that a lot of the time anyway, right? So the people in your experience are the people that need to learn from you, or are also vibrating around there in some sense of the form, some kind of way, enough to be on your train or on the tracks next to you. But a person could then be in love with you, giving their power away, but feeling that frequency, and you're there anyway. And then boom, they have a thought. You have it at the same time. And depending on how wary you are, you either think you're just thinking, or you'll know who thought that thought. And it's very interesting to come to terms with. Because it's just interesting. It's interesting, I think. And also be people not just giving their power away, people who are just connected, they're soulmates, or they're just meant to be together, or they just love each other so deeply, real that they just, it happens. Uh, People say the same words at the same time, complete each other's sentences in that way, but even deeper than that is you will hear their most. If you are a thinker of subvocal types on your mind, like you think in thoughts, like I do. I think in words, like the way I'm talking like now. A lot of times I'll just beat that in my mind talking subvocally, but I also do images and feelings too. But if you think mostly subvocally, and you'll hear them, it will come through in your voice or whatever the voice is that you usually sing in. But it will be the thought that they kind of latched onto. But you guys are the same frequency, getting the same thought at the same time, and it feels like one person's reading the other person's mind. Or you'll just have the thought and it's like it feels a little off. Like, damn, that kind of came a little bit out of nowhere. I don't usually think that way. And why would I say that? I'm sitting here in this group of people doing whatever you're doing, and the thought that comes in is out of context with what you would normally say in this thing. You kind of look around the room. And who the fuck was that? Yeah, but you know about frequencies. So you can look and kind of gauge from everyone's day-to-day action who's probably vibrating at a similar frequency to you. Very interesting. But don't judge a book by its cover. I'm also very good for that, for people learning that too. I think, I don't know, attractive people. People have, they'll look at you and just think you're a certain way. Especially if you don't talk and defend yourself. And the way beliefs are, they'll build this thing up of who you are. And if they start to really believe it, the universe will continue to show them that that's true. So they have this fake beliefs about you. Maybe someone told them something about you that was completely off and wrong. and they never took the chance or had the balls to actually get to know you and talk to you. So they just had this festering belief that just beliefs keep growing. You don't talk and defend yourself, which is fine. You focus on yourself, on your goodness. Things will come out in the wash, trust me. But there'll just be things that happen in their experience that will prove that their experience right. Maybe like, this is just what off the top of my head, say, you're really the nicest person in the world. Goofy, fun, intelligent. I'm not describing myself, by the way. But maybe some people think you're hot-headed, let's just say. Let's just say something happened one time, right? And then someone took it as, oh, he's hot-headed. And maybe they pass gossip around, right? And so, if the people believe this gossip, they will only come and interact with you when something happens. Like, say you just stubbed your toe or something. They'll come walk around that corner just sing, but they won't know you stubbed your toe. They're like, yep, I'm staying away from him. Something must have happened. He's hot-headed. And that's how it works. And so, you get to, but you really are not. But we all just live slipping past each other in this reality, and no one takes the time to stop and actually learn about each other. They will go off of what other people say. Not everybody. There are people who will listen to other people, but are smart enough and live enough a life that they will take what the other person. If I see him day to day for years, and this is how he's been acting, then I'm not gonna believe whatever people say about him. I'm gonna take real life experience. But not everyone's that way. Someone will believe gossip, and then their reality will change and shift, and you will only meet me on the days that I seem like I'm mad or pissed or have a resting bitch face or something. But I'm the most goofiest, fun-loving, fair, loyal person ever. Just because I have a six-pack and muscles and I'm super talented and I know that I'm sexy and I have confidence. You judge a book by its cover, you might think I'm mean or arrogant or stuck up, especially if you're believing things other people do or saying about me. Ugh, imagine being a kind of person. Oh, I shouldn't judge people. Let me stop. But fuck, where was I at? See, judging people just fucked me all up. I lost my complete train of thought. That gets me on to think about bullying too. Bullying and kind of getting people to gang up on other people. It may seem lighthearted at times, but it is never. It is there's not much that can rile my feathers up anymore, and even this can't really much anymore, but I can feel the inklings of my hairs growing on end when I think about someone getting bullied in some kind of way, or a group of people playing a game with someone in the game and the person doesn't know about it. Or maybe the same kind of situation like this really irks me really bad. Like, maybe someone's with a group of friends and they think they're really in the group of friends, but all the other people in the group, if it's like 5 people, really just think he's a joke, right? But they allow him in there and no one tells him this. Something like that. It almost makes me want to cry right now just thinking about it. It's bringing up emotions that can easily turn into me wanting to fucking just curb stomp someone's face for doing that shit. So I gotta look into that because it shouldn't be affecting me so much. I'm actually trying to affect myself on purpose now because I know I have an issue with that. Fairness. So I know I can bring myself back. Now, see what's. So I'm feeling a little emotional now. It doesn't have to mean bad. It doesn't mean bad. It doesn't even feel. You get to the point where it's like a spice. It's like, oof. But I need to look into it. And I need to always know that the universe is so fair. You can't even imagine how fair it is. Ooh, it is actually make me tear up a little bit when I think about people getting taken advantage of or someone being trapped in a situation they can't get out of. And people keeping them there. And people fucking keeping them there. Now, I feel that has happened to me before. That's why that second one. Being trapped and people trying to keep you in a certain kind of state. But here I am. So it all worked out. And it all was needed. So that will help me stay connected and not be pinched off too much when I think about that kind of corruption, that kind of thing. I should be able, and the people who, and I should be able to It's okay if I'm not. Look at the people. Like there's a group of people who are letting that friend in, but they really don't even like him, and they're just just for entertainment, and the friend doesn't know this. I should be able to look at those people and have compassion for them because they don't know any better. They don't know any better. Like the baby learning to walk. It's hard though with this one. It's hard. Because they know they wouldn't want that done to them. So they do know better. But they don't know any better. If they're doing that, they don't know any better. But in a little bit, they do know better. So you have to be ready not to go on the revenge. That's like an instant timeline to their island. You don't want to be on the island. You want to keep the glass window between you and them. You have the compassion, know they don't know any better. And not shoot them in the head. Right? Because that's where their emotions go to. You. So that kind of people, someone who are taking it drastically, is someone who has held someone, say, in their basement or something like that. You know, has got someone down there for whatever reason. It doesn't have to be sexual or anything, but for whatever reason, just holding them down there, and that kind of trappedness. Now that's taking it drastic, so like some kind of drag. You just want to be like, what are you doing? You know. Now, and even in that situation, you have to know the person in that situation attracted us. They attracted each other. That's another way to stay connected. You have to understand how the universe works. There's nothing serious going on. So okay, so good. So that's what I can use. Because even someone being trapped in a basement doesn't irk me as much as, say, someone just always being talked over. Why does not irk me as much? I do not know. Or someone in like the friend group thing, the group of 4 people, but one's a joke and no, he doesn't know it. That irks me more than someone being trapped in a basement. That's weird. It irks me more. Or someone just being trapped in a weird situation that they can't get out of, and someone knows it. It's like someone who's feeding someone's addictions. That kind of thing also. Because you can get in a weird state where you know, I'm not going to say you're captive, it's not really the right word. You know the person who is feeding your addictions is feeding your addictions, and that you are addicted, and that maybe you should stop, but you know, you don't even want to stop. There's a state before you do stop where it's like that. It's like, I know what's happening here. And I know I should be mad at this person, and they got me trapped in this state, but I kind of like my jail cell kind of thing, you know. But eventually I'll stop, you know. But keeping someone to keep me connected while I talk about this, I gotta know that if someone else is keeping someone in a lesser state, say someone's an alcoholic, right, and they know they're an alcoholic, but maybe the person hasn't figured out how bad they have it yet, and every time they come home from work, they make sure they crack open a beer so they can hear it in earshot, something like that. Ooh, ooh. All little things like that being done to fuck people over, and they don't even know it. It kind of makes me mad. All the little manipulatives. Take like a workspace environment. All the people, hundreds of people in the workspace, all the little things like that going on. Or a family environment, or a loving and supposedly loving environment, like a parent, like a daughter, and a mother, or something. Someone's losing control. Someone wants control. Someone's taking advantage of someone else because of guilt or because of tradition or something like that. All this stuff makes my skin crawl. But I have to keep in mind, take the bad with the good. If we want this experience to be the real life, super awesome experience it is and have all the varieties, we have to be able to have the bad and the good. So you have to be able to have the family dynamic or the relationship somewhere in some house where Someone knows that someone's an alcoholic and they're losing and they're fucking their life up, but as long as they keep them that way, they'll stay with them. And it could be many other reasons too. Maybe they did something wrong to them years ago, they found out, and now they're going to fuck them up slowly. Pretend to be their friend and feed them alcohol for the rest of their life. Until they eventually fuck their own self up. Like, I don't know what happened to him, man. He just went off the deep end or whatever, It doesn't matter in the end. Everyone's in the right place. I've been through enough experience. Hendrix would say, "Are you experienced?" I've been through enough experience. At the time, I knew it was horrible, and didn't end enough experience where I didn't find out how bad it was until 20 years later, looking back at it through hindsight. Been through lots of shit. And I can see, looking back now, that I needed it all. So I gotta keep that in mind when I see someone else getting taken advantage of. Or I feel like it might be happening, or I know it's happening out in the world. I gotta keep it in mind. They're in their incubation phase. They're getting exactly what they need to. So you don't have to feel upset. You don't have to feel angry or pinch yourself off in that way from your source. You don't have to do it anymore. You know what's going on. But when you do tear up and you feel emotional and you do feel a surge of whatever that is, it is also okay. Because in that moment, you have expanded. You just haven't caught up yet to your new expansion where you are living a life where you don't do that anymore. You don't do that anymore. A sweetheart, perception's weird. You could be perceiving someone to be the most sweethearted sweethearts of sweethearts, right? And they could be the most not that thing behind the scene. Say you're not aware enough to know. So you perceive them this way, and the way reality works, or universals keep showing you up that way, they will seem this way to you. And then maybe someone cuts them off, and you don't get really pissed. Or so, how do you do this to this person? He's such a sweetheart. Why would you? You don't know. You don't know either way. And besides, they're getting the experience that they need. And you feeling pissed off about it or whatever about it is the experience that you need. Everyone's getting what they need. Chill the fuck out. But it's okay if you get upset. It's okay if you feel the emotions. It's what we're here for. It's part of the fun. But, so that probably tells something about me a little bit. The things that not much can irk me these days. I've always been pretty free-flowing and glowing, even before I started knowing about all this spirituality stuff. But now I'm even more unbothered. But the things that can still kind of get me was what, maybe not anymore after this session, but is that people getting taken advantage of, tricked, trapped, information kept from them, keep them trapped, or just being manipulated, they don't know about it, or a bunch of people think a certain way about them, they don't know about it. Gang stalking type activity. Being the type of person to group up to go against one person. So cringy. It's just so cringy. How does that even start? Because I can't even imagine someone coming up to me to try to get me to go against someone. And people just know this. So they don't come up to me with this shit. How would that even start? What would you even say to me to get me? Because I don't hang out with anybody, really. So you couldn't just... Because people will just stand next to you and talk, right? Act like they're talking to someone else so you can hear the gossip and try to get you to come into the conversation. And then they can try to spin their craft, you know? Steer their conversation to eventually talking about the person they don't like. And maybe do this for a month. Get the person feeling this way about them. You know, so much work. So much work. And then what happens if the person's like, let's just say divinely protected or smart or what? And you got a big group of people that you lied to about this person. What's going to happen when it all comes apart? Because this person wasn't like any of the other people that you did it to. They weren't able to get molded. Think of it this way: you get in a group of people, right? They're using their human apparatus to help mold a reality for you. And if someone's very, and meek isn't bad, but they don't know what they're doing, they're meek, they can be molded by other people's perceptions. You lie about a person, everyone else believes it, and that person has a certain type of personality, well, now they are molded into that, and they start changing literally into that person, and become that person that you lied to them about. But I'm not that person. I'm not that person. I'm a person who already knows who they are. So, if you try to spin your lies about me, you will find out what happens when the water bounces off a duck's back. Where's the water gonna go? Goes right back into the lake. And that fucking lake is your face. Right? It just doesn't work on people who know who they are, and people who don't need other people for validation, and people who are generally happy and feel good and aren't chasing anything but the feelings of feeling good. Doesn't work on us. We're not even playing your game. You're not even playing. It's like you're looking at us through a glass window, and you think you're fucking with us, but you're just slapping yourself in the face. This has been morphing out into a thing here. Feeling pretty good though. Feeling like I know I'm walking karma. I know. I know. Just by sitting here feeling good and knowing who I am. There's nothing else to do. So you don't have to feel bad about other people and any predicaments because you know everything is working out perfectly every single time because it's not exactly what you think is going on here. We are out ahead of ourselves and behind ourselves and beside ourselves times a trillion. We know what's going to happen before it happens times a billion. You don't have to worry about anything. Now, you see, when I get in this state, it's all about the frequency you're in. Everything I just talked about being upset about this or that and this happening, gone. I know everything is working out perfectly. See, it's a state change. I've raised my frequency just ever so slightly. And I know I shouldn't even be talking about what irks me. Even if it's very telling about my personality, what does finally can get my goat. No, that stuff is gone now. I know it doesn't matter. I know that the person getting talked over or the person getting manipulated, it's called that exact reality to them. Unknowingly or knowingly, in either way, is exactly what they need. Exactly. So, see what happens when your frequency change. Now, say an hour from now, I might not be this high, and I might feel a little different about it, but it's always going to be high enough to feel a good thing way about it. You know what I mean? But it's just showing you how it changes. So, your job. Ooh, let's not burp in the camera, please. Your job is to now that I know I'm in a state that I would want it to be at most of the time, something like this, feeling like this, all powerful, knowing who I am. I just know that I'm there. I've been there for at least, a minute now, I'm guessing. Every couple of seconds, you add more momentum and more chance that this kind of feeling and this kind of knowing will just be your natural state in your now moment. You only get one now moment. So this now moment is the same now moment a week from now. Okay? And from now until a week, I'm not going to be in this state the whole time from now to a week from now. It's going to be this state, this state, this state, this state, this state, in a week. But the more I know I'm there now, the more chance during that week that this state is going to happen. So I'll be at work and I'll be feeling this compassion for people, this appreciation, this feeling in my bones, for a lack of a better way to describe it. It might actually be in the bones. I don't know. Indescribable almost. I'll never say it completely because I always, it gives up the hope of in a reality where your beliefs create your reality. If you say you can never describe it, then you can never describe it. But you say maybe there's a chance. Well, then maybe there's a chance. I'm just focusing on it now because I know what that does. This is the work. Most people focus on whatever you put in their face. Nothing wrong with sports. I'm just using it for this analogy. Put some football games in your face. Actually, I love what the World Cup is doing, by the way. Being held in America and was it Canada, Mexico. It's fucking great. Just bringing us together. But just as a thing. And whatever you put in your face, whatever you focus on. Sports, alcohol, vices, relationships, people, whatever. Me, mostly trying to focus on my feelings. Whatever you focus on, and whatever ratios and whatever mixed bag is what your now moment will keep pumping out for you in those ratios that are slightly changing on a whim because you're running in default mode. But when you're doing it more like me, or like anyone else who has their own system too, it doesn't have to be, it could be something else. Because your beliefs are your beliefs. Like, whatever you believe works for you is working for you. That's why we get this weird world we're living in. And no one can agree on anything. So we try to get together and say, this is the way it is. Mold your reality. Come on, guys. Mold it this way, because this is the way it is. And there's only a few things we like that to be, and that's, we kind of like the physicalness of it. We like it. We like variety. We like that not to change. We like variety. Change. We like change. We like that to stay rigid. We love change. One thing that can stay rigid is change, let me tell you. For the most part, it's just a fucking sandbox. The most beautiful sandbox game ever to have existed. Is also the only thing that does exist and will exist. As far as we existence can tell. There's no other authority on the subject since we are all that exists. So I need a second opinion on that. Split yourself up into another being. Hey, what do you think about this? I don't know. Let me bounce around here for a little while. I don't know. We need more opinions. And here we are, 9 billion beings later. What do you think about this, guys? What is going on? Damn, this has been going on an hour. All right. So I talked about a lot of stuff. I think the main point was just about belief systems and how about the people on the sidewalk and how most reality is living slowly, eking out their progress. Everyone looking in the rearview mirror at the past. Well, don't look at all the things that happened in the past. Let's focus on the past so we don't let it happen again. But they don't know that that's not how you drive a car. You don't drive a car by looking in the rearview mirror the whole fucking time. Damn, it just came out of nowhere. I love that one too, though. I love that we are so entertaining. We're so interesting. Like, we want to figure ourselves out so bad. But I feel there does come a point where you don't want to figure yourself out, where you've experienced enough, become wise enough to where you know there's nothing to figure out. That's the ultimate knowing. There is nothing to figure out. Once you figured out that we've been here, we no Big Bang. We've always existed and we've never end. There's no start, no beginning. Once you figure that out, there's nothing else to figure out. Everything else can be extrapolated from that. from my opinion right now, anyway. Might change tomorrow. Anyway, let me stop. I was trying to stop. I was trying to get it to an hour there for the last 10 seconds or so. But here we are. Let's get some good. You always gotta time it on 99 because Facebook will fucking, or YouTube will fucking add another second to it, ruining my good timings.